conversation explores the art of thinking beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest. She's the executive sales leader, real estate investor, people builder, none other than Miss Christine Valdes. Welcome,
Daniel,
welcome
how
on
are you?
Abstract. Yes, fabulous, fabulous, Miss Christine. Welcome on Abstract Essay. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I missed?
Yes, Daniel. I'm so glad to be here. It's great to be on your podcast. I'm Christine Valdes. I'm from Dallas, Texas. As Daniel said, I'm a executive at a sales leader for a large pharmaceutical company, and I also do real estate investing and passive investing.
I like that, Miss Christine. And passive income. Even you're sleeping or doing anywhere, you have a passive income. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So today let's talk about women and wealth, building confidence and practical strategies for investing and ownership. So tell us the readiness myth. Research shows that women often feel they need to know everything before investing, while men are more likely to act with less information. Where does this confidence gap originate, and what's the single most effective mindset shift to overcome it?
Yeah, I think the confidence gap comes from cultural, right? The cultural norms that have been put in place for a long time for women. The man for a long time, the men were the leaders of the home, right? I still think
Yes.
they are, but there are many homes now where the women actually are the only leader in the home, right? More and more and more. And what happens is they still are in that cultural gap and they don't have that understanding of money or even that confidence to make those decisions. I know that I've talked to some women that I know and they don't even know what their finances are. They say, "Oh, my husband takes care of all of it." I said, "Okay, well, what happens if your husband passes away and you don't know where the money is or you don't know how he's been investing the money or you just don't know." So I think a lot of that has come from the cultural norms that we have had. There's also cultural norms depending on the type of culture you're from, right? So I'm Filipino, and from in the Filipino culture, you know, women are strong, but they don't know a lot about money. It's just not part of what we learn, right? So I
Mhm.
think those are the two things. And the number three, I don't think when they have talked about money in the past, I don't think women have been integrated in the conversation as much. And so there is a lack of confidence there too. And so there's a lot of programs to teach men about money and all these things in the past like 30 years, but how many are there that are just built for just women, right? So women can
Mhm.
understand it. Not that many.
Yes, empowering women all over the world is something else, Miss Christine. So you need an applause for that. You need, and I'm Filipino too.
Yeah,
Mabuhay.
yeah. Mabuhay.
Mabuhay. Yes. So let's talk about the financial socialization. How does the masses girls receive about money? Is it often focused on budgeting, saving, and safety differ from those boys receive, like risk, growth, ownership, and how does this shape our adult relationship with the wealth building?
Yeah, I think the relationship with money, it's interesting. I mean, that question is interesting because it's also like how your family used the money. So maybe it wasn't necessarily about how women or men use money. I think it's more how your family used money and how you saw the men and women in your family use money, right? And
Mm,
so women, yeah, they do a lot of saving, like you said. Women do a lot of saving, but you don't make a lot of money saving. It feels like you make a lot of money, but if you're making 2% on your savings account and inflation is 4, you're really losing 2% in your savings account every single month. Think about it. If you're if you're
yes.
if you're putting in, say for example, you're putting in $1,000 in your savings account, yet inflation 6%, right? Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
mean you're only gaining two. I mean, you're really losing money month after month after month. And so it's looking at it differently, right? And women don't I don't think women have been shown to look at it that way. There's more and more women talking about how to look at money differently, but I just don't think they've looked at it because women have evolved from not knowing about money, and in some cases now they make decisions about money, but they haven't evolved to knowing how money works and how to
Mhm.
increase your money and returns and how to invest properly. That's just not been part of the conversation.
Definitely. I think you need a mutual fund than saving in the bank. The language of empowerment, Miss Christine. Words like aggressive or risky in investing can have a negative connotations for many women. How can we refrain the language of wealth building to be more inclusive and empowering?
Yeah, the words risky. Yeah, because that's the words I hear a lot. Okay, how much risk is there? Oh, that's a risky one. Or like for example, we had an investment opportunity a couple of months ago. It was a land development opportunity where we had a fund, and in talking to different investors, mostly women that I've talked to about investing in our fund, I had some people say, "Oh gosh, it seems risky. Oh, it seems too good to be true. Oh, it seems right." Look,
Mm-hmm.
everything has risk. Mutual funds have risks. The stock market has everything has risk. They just don't use those
Yes.
words in it as much. They use the words like it's safer or you get a better return, right? But every single thing we have, I mean, I know when we had the downturn in 2007, I lost $200,000 in my investment portfolio in my mutual funds,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
True.
there's risk in everything. It's just, getting away from those words, we probably have to. I think using words like opportunity or using words to broaden, using words like higher returns, right? Using
Yes.
words like that, or I think safe is not a good word either because people go, "Oh, this is a safe investment." Well, it's not really. Nothing's really safe. I mean, everything is a risk. So really framing it and getting away from what we've seen in the news. Oh, this person lost this money, and then now people are like, oh, don't do that. That's risky, right? They take one story, and all of a sudden it becomes their truth,
Mm-hmm.
right? So,
Yes.
yeah, just looking at it more like, okay, here's an opportunity. Everything's going to have risk. So take away risk, and you go, okay, here's an opportunity. Let me look at it. Does it fit? Does it fit my comfort level? Does it fit my buy box, right? Using words like buy box. Like if I'm going to invest in anything, what would I be most comfortable with? Like for example, my buy box is I don't like long-term investments. Right now my husband and I look at shorter term investments with higher returns.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there's risk. There's risk in anything, but that's our buy box right now. So that land development deal we had, that was a good buy box because it was a targeted return of 24%, and it was a 12-month hold. And that's really good,
That's
right?
really good, Miss
Yeah, but
Christine.
still risky, still
Mm-hmm.
risky. But it was in our buy box. So I knew, okay, this is a good one that would fit, right? So
Mm-hmm.
looking at a private equity fund, a big private equity could be a 10-year, and maybe I'm going to get like a 20% return, but that's a 10-year. I'm not willing to wait 10 years at this point. So you got to determine, okay, what's my buy box? What do I want? Okay. And then from there, you focus on that buy box, and then you can mitigate what you believe is risk because everything fits in the buy box. And you're like, okay, I'm going to look at that one. Okay, does that fit? Okay, let me look at the numbers. Right. So using words like opportunity, higher rates of return, like stuff like that instead of risk, and just knowing that risk is neutral amongst any opportunity, any investment opportunity.
People take the risk. Who
I
knows?
know. Take the risk.
Take the
Take
risk. Who knows? You will be the next Elon Musk.
exactly.
Oh
You just
my
don't know.
goodness.
Some people take the risk, and look, you just don't know. And I think if you're younger, I mean, you have more. There's more time for you to take risk because you're younger,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now,
True.
but again, at my age, I mean, I'm still taking some risks. I mean, every investment is a risk. I mean, we just lost money on a multifamily deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we knew coming in it, there's a risk.
Yes.
So, but
There's
there's
a
always
risk.
wins and losses, right? So,
Yes. But you need to learn those
yeah,
Rest, people. So let's talk about the practical strategy and systems. For the first 100 or $1,000 for a woman who has a basic emergency fund but feels intimidated by the stock market, and what's
Hmm.
the absolute lowest or highest psychological reward first
Hmm.
investment she should make, and
Hmm.
why?
Okay, that's a good point. Having that emergency fund, right? Some people say have 3 months. I say have 6 months of emergency fund available. So first, before you take that risk, before you take that opportunity, right? Before you take the
Yes.
opportunity, make sure you have your emergency fund. And
Hmm.
then before you make the investment, you start doing research, start learning about investing. If you're going to do stock investing, learn about it a little bit. Don't just jump into it and take one person's advice. So the challenge is all of a sudden we take one or two people's advice and we believe it's truth, right? So
Mm,
you
yes.
have to take accountability for some of that information, and you have to do a little bit of research yourself. Like when we started doing real estate investing, I spent 2 years just studying. So I would study every night from 9 to 11, 9 to 12, and I would study, 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 study. And that went on for 2 years, but
Mm.
I had made that commitment to really understand it. And and while I was studying, I was trying different things. I was running numbers on different real estate properties. I was trying to identify, okay, is this a good fix and flip, or is this a good buy and hold? What's my return going to be? How do I estimate numbers? How do I estimate repair costs? Right? How do I estimate, what this is going to give me in return? Like, so I understood the numbers so that when I started investing in real estate properties, I got better and just better and better and better at it because I continued to learn. So you have to do something to learn. You just can't jump in. Because what happens is people jump in because somebody told them, a friend told them, they thought it was great. Okay, I'm going to jump in. And you jump in, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to make a lot of money. And then you lose your money. And you're like, oh, I should have never made that investment. It's too risky. Right? That's what happens. But that's why I think, if you just do a little bit, continue to do a little bit. If you're interested in stocks, start learning about stocks. If you're
Hmm.
interested in real estate investing, start learning about real estate investors. There's a lot of free content on YouTube, a lot of free podcasts, right, that talk about it.
Yes.
If you're interested in multifamily, I don't think you should. I bought a lot of programs. I don't think you should buy a lot of programs in the beginning. I think do a lot of you can get a lot of research for free, and then if
Yes.
you want the support of a mentor, then you go to a program. But there's a lot of free content. If you want to do investing in storage units or in the mobile home parks, or in there's so many things there, or in warehouses. I know somebody who's doing warehouses, and then they rent out their warehouses to Amazon. I mean, it's just a cash cow, right?
Hmm.
But he did a lot of research prior. He didn't just put his money in his, $100,000 or his $50,000 in that. So I would say do that first. Make sure you have your savings. Do your research on what you think you would like to do, and then if you have that $1,000, then you can find, because you've done enough research, you will know the opportunities where you can put your money in to
Hmm.
that specific investment that you want. But
Yes.
yeah, it takes time. It takes a little bit of time.
Yes. It's a process, people, not just a quick
Hmm.
fix. Oh, I want to be now.
Will you be tomorrow? Yes.
not, not that one, people. It's a process. So let's talk about the automating agency. One key strategy is automating investments. How do you
Mhm.
design a set in and forget it systems and builds wealth in the background while overcoming emotional hurdle of actively transferring money to an investment account or
Yeah.
automatic?
Yeah, I do. I did the automatic at the beginning when I first started working and I started making a little bit of money. I would automatically invest in my stock portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just put in money. If you're with a big employer and they do company match, put the money in because you're getting double your money. They match 4%, put at least 4%. They match six, put at least 6% of your income in there. It's pre-tax, right? If you're putting into your 401k here in the United States. So it's worth it to put the money in. And so I just dripped and I never saw it, right? And people, and I
Mm-hmm.
would meet people that wouldn't put money in. I go, why aren't you putting any money in? They said, well, I don't have any money. I go, well, that's after, it's before taxes. So if you put the money in, you're really breaking even, right?
Mm.
So if you take
Yes.
out that money and put it in your retirement account and then you're taxed on what's left over, you actually probably are coming home with the same amount of money, which is amazing. And you're getting that match. So I would, if you have an employer account where you have a 401k, I would definitely start investing in that. And you won't see it. It'll just take out of your account every single month, and you just learn to live on what's left. But the 4% is not a lot. 6% is not a lot. And then all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden you turn around and you look and you're like, oh, you got a lot of money in there, right? And so,
Yes.
because if you get the money in hand and you're not good with your money, you're going to spend it all, right?
True.
If you can, like you said, automate it in a way where you don't see it, that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is you can open up your own IRA account, right? You can open up an IRA account. You can do a Roth or IRA, and then you can have it automatically pulled from your checking account. Of course, with a Roth, it's post tax, right? So I believe you can get it automatically pulled from your checking account. You could set it up with your Fidelity or whatever, whoever you use, and then they'll just pull the money out. But with a Roth, what's nice with the Roth is that when you pull it out, you don't pay taxes. When you pull out money from an IRA, you pay taxes on it, right? Because it's pre-tax. So
Mm-hmm.
you can automate that too out of your checking account. And it could be, I mean, if you want, it could be $25 a month to start. But over time, it starts to grow, right? Now, does it have the highest returns, like, say, certain real estate type of investing or other type of investing? It doesn't, but it gives you the practice of doing the automation, right, over time. And then as you grow, as you start saving more money, then you can start looking at some other investments. So, for example, say you have a 401k. On your 401k, you can take a 401k loan, right? You can take
Mm-hmm.
and what some people have done is they've taken a 401k loan and they've used that loan and they paid their 401k loan at like 4% back, but they use that money to invest in real estate, which had a higher return. So they got an 8% return on the real estate, which paid the 4%, and they made 4% of their money, right? So you're looking at the dollars and cents that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think what other people have done too is they've done opened up a whole life insurance policy. So say for example, you don't have the ability at your company right now to put into um, a 401k, or you decide I don't want to do IRA, I don't want to do a Roth, right? You can do
Mm-hmm.
a whole life insurance. It's called infinity banking. And what you do is you put money into this whole life insurance every single month, and you get a life insurance policy. But this life insurance policy, you can borrow the money.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so you can borrow the money. So say like I have a whole life, so you have a whole you get a whole life insurance policy of a certain amount. But say for example, you put $30,000 in it over the year, right? You can borrow 95% of that money, but your account is still growing like if you had $30,000 in it. So your
Nice.
money grows, you borrow from yourself, so the interest you pay for the borrowing is to yourself. So the 4% is getting paid back to you, to your account. And then you can take that 30,000 and use it to invest in real estate or whatever you decide to do. So that's another way of doing it. And the money can also get automatically pulled out of your account. So a lot of people, like when I first started, I opened up a life insurance account. But normal life insurance is cheap, but you can never borrow the money, right? A
Yes.
whole life, you can still get the same type, but you can borrow against yourself. You become your own bank. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah.
That'd be awesome, Miss Christine. So let's talk about the on life stages and unique considerations.
Okay.
The career break penalty. Women are more likely to take career breaks for caregiving,
Hmm.
impacting earnings, or retirement savings. What are the specific proactive financial moves to make a before a plan break to mitigate a long term wealth impact?
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of women, especially early in their career, when they start having the children, they take a break. Um, I think if you start investing and start saving early into your retirement or maybe into a whole life, or if you start looking at some real estate investing early, right? I would say, like, for example, my daughter, we really encouraged her to buy a house right away, right? So she bought a house. I mean, she's still single, but she bought a house right away. And then she bought a 3 bedroom, a little bit of a fixer, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, but then she rents out rooms. So, in a way, you can do that too if you're single. Buy a house if you can in your area. I know California is a little expensive, but if you think about it, like you can buy a house somewhere else too. But if you buy a house, yes, it's a liability. But if you get roommates, you buy it technically, the roommates actually will pay for your mortgage because they're paying rent to you, right? So if your mortgage, for
Yes.
example, if your mortgage is like 1,500, say that your mortgage is 2,000, but you rent out 2 rooms at $1,000 a piece, now your mortgage is getting paid for. Plus splitting all of the utilities. So then all of your earnings for your job, you just put it in your investments, other investments as well, right? So I
Yes.
think to prepare, I've always encouraged a lot of women, because a lot of women feel like, oh, I can't buy a house until I'm married, right? I
Yes.
don't I don't encourage that. I say if you have the means, and you qualify, you should always invest in it, invest in the real estate, because, and people say it is a liability, but look, if you get married, then you rent it out or you sell it, right? So you have something that's also building wealth. There's going to be some, depending on the area, you'll get some appreciation on that property, but at the same time, you're paying down the equity. You're getting equity because you're paying down the mortgage. So you have some other wealth building that's happening instead of you just paying rent and throwing away your money on rent. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. So the legacy building, Miss
Mhm.
Christine, wealth is not just about consumption. It's about impact and legacy. How does shifting the focus from what can I buy or to what can I build or enable change the motivation and strategy for wealth accumulation?
Yeah. Yeah. It does change it, but it is a mindset to get there.
Mm,
Daniel. It's
a
it's not
mindset.
it's not easy to go from what can I buy? Oh my gosh, I'm going to get the nicest purse. I'm going to get the brand new car. You know what I mean? It's hard to go away from that when you grew up not having it. Number one, if you
True.
didn't grow up with a lot, I just find that all of a sudden you have a little bit of money where you can actually buy it. So you buy it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're filling some need. So it's hard to go away from consumption to building until you have that mindset shift of I'm going to build, and I'm actually going to make a conscious choice of not buying that cute outfit this week, or not buying that extra, or you know what I mean, like, because there's a lot of places where you consume all your money, but you can't just all of a sudden just make that switch and go, okay, now I'm going to go in a building, because you have to break all those habits. You have to break that mindset of, and it's hard because I was a consumer. I like to buy a lot of stuff. I mean, then the more money I made, I wanted to buy that expensive stuff because I thought it was like way better. But it's you have to get past that, and you have to think, okay, I'm building wealth, I'm building net worth, I'm building something so that in 10 years I don't have to work. Or in,
Mm,
or in 15 years, I'm going to be settled and I'll have this passive income coming in and I don't have to worry about working, right? So
yes.
it starts with a mindset.
Mindset, people. So fix your mindset.
Yes.
Have a discipline. So, Miss Christine, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in sixth season, abstract poetry in its third season, and of course, my book 101 review in sixth season too, comedy 101 in its third season, and my food 101 in sixth season as well. Geography 101, love letters, movie 101, review music 101 are in fifth season. Science 101, sex 101 are in fourth season. And my baby podcast, Trivia 101, Law 101, Mental Health 101, Motivation 101, Entrepreneurship 101, and Book 101, and Bible Verses 101. And please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Christine, what are the specific must ask question a woman should pose to a potential financial advisor to ensure they will be a true partner, not a patronizing authority?
Patronizing authority.
Patronizing.
Yeah,
I like that.
that's a good question. Like, I would ask them to explain their fees, right? If they can't
Mm.
explain their fees and they get a little wishy-washy, I would be concerned. But you definitely want them to explain their fees. If you're looking at, if you're a little bit, if you're high, more middle to upper range income, I would definitely start to connect with people who are actively investing, right? First, before you start, because it's hard for me to give you all the questions on every type of investment, but start surrounding yourself with people who know how to invest. Your mind will change when you start spending that time with people that are of that, not say caliber, but just have that understanding. Because what happens is, you're the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? So, and your income is the 10 people that you spend the most time with, right? Take the 10 people, add up their income. That the average is you typically.
Mhm.
So I would say, if you start surrounding yourself with people, start, if you see someone that you think is like, wow, that person, I want that person to mentor me, or I'd love to sit down with that person to pick their brain, ask them, hey, I'd love to take you out for coffee. Can I pick your brain? Because I want to start investing and I don't know a lot about it. Do you have time? If you're not, don't have time for coffee, I'd love to get on virtually if you're okay. And most people will say yes. Most
Mhm.
people will say, yeah, like let's schedule some time. So start getting around those folks, start finding different women's groups, I would say, that are focused on financial and wealth building or passive incomes, or where they actually talk about money so that you can understand money. There's different groups out there. Some are more Christian based, some are more just specifically based on entrepreneurship. But if you can find one that can get you around people who are talking about, your vocabulary will change as you spend more time with them. You'll start to
Yes.
understand, oh yeah, what's this? What's an SPV? What's that? What's that? You'll start to understand what's ROI, what's IRR, what's that? You're gonna I remember when I started getting around people, I was like, oh my gosh, it's like they're talking in a foreign language. I don't understand what they're saying at all. I'm like, am I in the wrong room? But now I get in and I can understand everything they say, but it's because I've surrounded myself with people who are well versed in that. So,
Yes, tell me your friends, and I will tell you who you are. Miss Christina, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your business, or whatever projects that you want to promote on Abstract Essay?
I'm not promoting anything right now. I mean, honestly, I'm just here to try to give as much value as possible. There's a lot in my brain. I spend a
Mm-hmm.
lot of time reading and studying. So I do have a website, ChristineValdes.com, VALDES. I'm also on LinkedIn under Christine Valdez. So if you want to connect with me, you can connect with me there. And, if people keep asking me, why don't you do like a quick webinar on a specific wealth topic, I probably may do that in the very near future. So if you connect with me, I'll definitely connect with you. And then if I do that free webinar, I'll send you the link.
Yes, people, let's about Miss Christine Valdes, because if you support her, for sure, more and more empowering advocacy like this will rise. I have one more question, Miss
Yes.
Christine. Was there a specific moment, book, or conversation that flipped the switch for you from seeing money as a source of anxiety or to seeing it as a tool of freedom and creation? What was a pivotal insight?
Yeah, there's 2 books actually. Everybody keeps asking me for one, and I always have two of everything. I read the book, the Millionaire Next Door, back in 1998, and it's a guy who interviews a bunch of millionaires, and it walks through their lives, and it just tells you that millionaires don't look like what we see on TV, right? They're not
Mm-hmm.
flashy. They don't
No.
spend their money on stuff. They have this disciplined way about them. So that's fascinating because it follows all these millionaires and it just tells you their life story. And then Rich Dad Poor Dad from Robert Kiyosaki really opened my eyes to being an employee, being self-employed, being in business for an entrepreneur, right? So it opened my eyes on how to look at money and go, oh, I never thought. And I actually read that in 19 when it first came out, which is interesting. I read that when it first came out, and then I read it again. I think I read it 3 times because back to back, and I was like, oh my gosh, it was completely eye opening for me. So it was a long time ago. Again, it's one of those books that a lot of people read, but it gives you a perspective of wealth building in there.
Wealth building indeed. Miss Christine, again, thank you so much for empowering women all over the world. Just thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. Thanks, everyone.
More to come, people. See you soon.